I sure don't want him mad at me. And Coach Schrader, you're the reason probably that I'm here. So thank you so much. So you think that story was bad? Wait till this one. Jane Baptist shows up in my life. Love at first sight, guys. I don't know if you ever had it, but I did. I saw her on Thursday, and by Friday night, I was pretty sure this was the woman I was going to end up trying to marry. Pretty quick. So we go to the airport Friday night, or Saturday night, Sunday night. She's going to fly back to Louisiana. And I'm going to pop the question. I already made up my mind. But all of a sudden, I've lost my roots. I couldn't remember, about putting off, not facing the problem. I chickened out. I couldn't pull the trigger. I was weak-kneed. I didn't know what to say. So we said our goodbyes, and she started up the ramp, disappeared in the plane. I said, man, I thought I have blown it. She's going to go back to Louisiana, marry a shrimp captain, and I'm never going to see her again. And I thought, I started rationalizing. I said, if she got off that plane, I'd do it. Son of a gun, I turned around, and here she comes walking off the plane. So, to make a long story short, my last 45 years of marriage is blamed on some airline ticket agent who can't read a flight number. What a chance she took. Going to marry a baseball player who doesn't even have a job, and not even a baseball player. Didn't realize I was gone half the time. Jane's been the anchor of our family. Every time there's been a need, she stepped to the plate and she's done some heavy lifting. And I'm so proud of her, and she's a Hall of Famer. My sons, Jeff and Jarrett. Shared their dad with a lot of guys. A lot of times I was gone, probably when I should have been there. Everyone says that they get their good looks, their singing ability, their dancing ability, and their acting ability from their dad. And if I ever find out who it is, I'm going to kill him. So finally, pro ball, my dream finally comes true in Wichita, Kansas. I signed with the San Francisco Giants. I was on my way. Still no plan B, just plan A. I'm going to the big leagues. My first spring training, we go out the first morning, we go out, there's 14 first basemen over at my position. I'm wondering what these other 13 guys are going to do the rest of their life. So we line up to take ground balls, and the guy in front of me has shin guards on. He gets up there and he gets ready to take his ground balls, and the coach hitting the ground ball said, hey, number 106, you don't have a name, you have number 106, the catcher's over here, and the guy replies, I'm a little weak on Skinners, coach. So that's why he had his shin guards on. On March 26, 1966, my life changed forever. That was the end of spring training. Giants had a big board up there. If your name was on the left, you were released. You ate breakfast, you cleaned your hotel room out, you got on the bus, and you went to back to Phoenix or wherever your home was to go home. If you're on the right-hand side, it means you had a contract and you made a team. Everybody's pretty nervous when they walked in that morning. Well, my name was on neither list. My name was in the middle with three others. I thought, what in the world can this mean? I've never seen so much distress in young ball players or young men, those on the left that got released. They were no longer professional ball players before they even got started. They probably had nothing else to do, and they were through with the things that they loved and wanted to do the most. Under our names in the three, it said report to the farm director's office, Mr. Carl Hubble. So man, were my knees weak when I walked in there. Come to find out, it was good news. Three of us got moved up a little bit higher in the organization, so that was good. We went back to the room, and two of my four roommates had been released. My other roommate and I said, there's nothing you can say to those guys when that happened. It's just separation. The other roommate was there, and we sat down, and he taught me the most valuable lesson that I ever learned my whole life that day. He said, Jim, I want you to know one thing. Remember one thing. Everybody gets the pink slip in baseball. Nobody's ever beaten the game. Everybody gets the pink slip. Bingo, I better get plan B going. So that's when I figured out I better find out something I can do besides play baseball. And I knew that I needed to get as much education as I could. And I thought being a coach would be a good thing. 5 years of baseball, pro baseball, I did okay. You know, there's not much demand for a first baseman that doesn't hit many home runs, and I didn't hit many. So it's time to move on. I have no regrets about my pro career. I did the very best I could. Bottom line, I just wasn't good enough. That's it, period. I call coming to Southwestern a perfect storm. I was fortunate enough to come at the perfect time for me. You know, Georgetown was a small town in 16,000 people. It was a country town. It was a small college. It was a perfect fit for me. I don't know if I was a perfect fit for them, but it was a perfect fit for me. The previous year, I think they'd gone 16, 6 and 18 or something like that. We didn't have any facilities. We didn't have any much of a schedule. I think the first year I was here, we had like 12 or 14 players on the team. After 10 or 15 years here, I had that many pitchers on the team. One of my players from the very first years here is Kenny Holly. Kenny Holly was a winning pitcher in the very first game that I ever coached at Southwestern University that we won. We won 7-5. Kenny scattered 5 home runs, and we won 7-5. We didn't make any errors, and he didn't walk anybody, so we got by. Another one of my first-year players here is Phil Howry. Phil was out of Amarillo, Texas, and he was one of the first players I recruited. And he agreed to come down here, and about 2 weeks later, he calls me and says, Coach, I got drafted. I said, man, that's great, Phil. He said, I'm in the U.S. Army. So Phil had to go in the National Guard. I arrived at the perfect time. Baseball was taking off. We were getting to play more games. There weren't as many teams playing games. There was a lot more players available than there were places to play. It just mattered of going out and finding the right people who wanted to play. You know, you've heard those saying, we didn't have a pot to use or window to throw it out of. Well, that was kind of the way we were. We had no money. The way I selected the travel team, if you were a player and you had a car that would get us back and forth and haul 4 players, you got to go. It didn't hurt for the coaches to have a good car either, did it, Coach Bunt? It's unbelievable. Now, you know, now we travel, we don't even go across the street unless we get on a Greyhound bus. We used to run up and down the highway with 8 or 10 cars. Unbelievable, we didn't kill somebody. I think we didn't. The games, the wins, the championships, all that were great, but the older I get, the more I realize that the friendships and what these guys did after are more important. I kind of got a bad rap of being a competitor, I think. It wasn't the fact that we lost that made me crazy. It's that when we didn't play our best or didn't do our best, that's what made me crazy. So I just want to kind of clear that up. Some people asked me want to know what the funniest thing that ever happened to me at Southwestern. Well, I'll share the things I can share with a mixed group. Funniest thing I think that ever happened, January, cold night, misty rain, sleet, nasty. 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings. Well, that's never a good sign. This is Georgetown Police Department. Got one of your ball players down here. Okay, what's the problem? Minor in possession. Okay, I'll come down and get him. No, you're not. He's going to spend the night. Okay, all right. So about 30 minutes later, the phone rings again. I said, my God, they're on the tear-apart tonight. And it was the Georgetown Police Department. Said, Coach Mallon, you might all bring some clothes. It was a toga party. My best coaching decision ever was in room assignments. we go in the room a lot, and I like to sign the middle infielders together and so forth. And one particular time, I put three left-handed pitchers together, and another young man. And you know, left-handed pitchers are a little nutty anyway to start out with. And this the same when the right-hander comes in and says, "Coach, I can't stay with these guys. They're driving me nuts." I said, "Man, you got to stay in there. I got to have somebody smart enough to answer the phone." My biggest disappointment as a coach, I wanted everybody that ever played for me to have one of these, one of the rings. My freshman class, my last year, we didn't make it. That's a disappointment for it. I'm sorry about that. My biggest thrill, I guess, was in 1996. We won our first Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference. We'd gone through losing our scholarships. We didn't know if we were ever going to be back to where we wanted to be. And we got back and found out it could be fun and we could win again. So that kind of wrapped it up here. And of course, then Dr. Mutz, what a great friend she's been. She's the sister I never had, and I'm the brother she never had. She made me a better coach because she was such a good volleyball coach, and I didn't want her out making my baseball team better, so I tried to keep up with her. Her fingerprints are all over this university. I never will forget when the day that they made her athletic director and me associate or assistant or whatever it was. And we took over, and we've been there a couple of days, and I said, "Leda, come here, I want to talk to you a minute." So she came in and said, "Leda, you know, I'm the male here, and I know more about athletics than you do, and you just be the pretty face on this deal, and I'll take care of all the business. I'll take care of running everything." Boy, I never heard a door slamming so hard in my life as that was slamming. I didn't see her for 3 days. Finally, the swelling in his eye went down enough that I could see her. I knew that she was going to be a great athletic director the first time we had a little discipline problem within our staff. We had a coach that just kind of got us a little overzealous and did some things, and later called him in. And I was in there with him, you know, as assistant athletic director, and she gave this young coach a real butt chewing, and he was providing all the butt. And I'm telling you, it got so bad that I wanted to leave, and she wasn't even talking to me. So after that, I knew that things are going to be okay. And she's been a great friend of mine, and she's done a great job for the university. Retirement, it's been wonderful. Do I miss it? Do I miss baseball? Yeah, I miss it 4 times a year. I miss opening day of fall practice, see what you have. I love the Graybeard game. That's when the freshmen play the old timers at the end of the fall. I like opening day. Everybody's a champion. I like the playoffs when you get rewarded. I don't miss raking the fields. I don't miss worrying about if somebody stole the KA cannon. Anybody know anything about that back there? Yeah. I don't miss that a lick, I promise.